Well, as you can imagine, bitterly disappointed to get beat in such a fashion. I guess having been on the other side of that coin, we have to take our medicine when I think it's due. We were below par tonight, nowhere near the sort of standards we set with the ball. Relied very heavily on some of the discipline and hard work in the group. But when all said and done, the game was there to be won. And unfortunately, if you're not clinical enough in front of goal, as we've seen many, many times before, then certainly leaves the door ajar for a team like Miami to sneak in and take all 3 points.
Once again, if you have a question, please utilize the hand raise function or let me know through the chat. Do we have any questions for Coach Smith? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Gary, you brought on Ake and Jonder in the second half. What did you think of their performances? Obviously, aside Jonder's one crucial miss there.
In all fairness, there was not. I didn't feel a lot of traction up top all game. It didn't matter whether it was Yonder, Ake, CJ, or any of the other guys that might find themselves in those attacking areas with their back to goal, especially. The 3 centre halves of Miami were too astute, experienced, aggressive, physically capable, and that lack of focal point proved to be a problem all game. Tried to change it, tried to add a bit more energy. It looked flat. A real lack of sparkle in our play, if I'm brutally honest. Maybe the goal, if he had scored Yonder, might have been out of keeping with the way that we played. But I don't know whether it's the 3 games away from home inside a week. That's possible. We've tried to rotate the group as much as we can, but when you get results like today, there's far too many players that were below par, and unfortunately, the result of that is defeat.
We'll go Drake Hills with the Tennessee, and then we'll go with Ben Wright. Go ahead, Drake.
Gary, what do you make of that second goal when Vesla finds himself in the box there? Is that a marking issue, or is that simply just being at the right place at the right time in between the center backs?
Listen, when you've got an individual like Federico Higuain, who's very, very capable, very talented, he's been a terrific player in this league. He's more than capable of putting the ball into a very dangerous area, and that's what he does. He asks a question, the lad gets in between Dax and Jalil and finishes well. Would I have liked more pressure on the ball? Yes. Should we have dealt with situations that led to it in a better fashion? Yes. Would that have negated some of the pressure that we had to deal with? Almost certainly. There were just too many areas of our game tonight that we just didn't come up to scratch. From building out to any sort of creative connection or breaking lines. I can't remember being a serious threat in behind them. Everything was in front of them. Is that the heat here? I didn't think it was too bad, but of course I'm not playing. Is it the travel? Is it a combination? Probably all of the above. What we know is we were way off the mark today, and we got punished for it.
Ben Wright.
Yeah, Gary, we've talked about the difference between playing at home and on the road in the past, but I think it's fair to say that results have been pretty drastically different on the road versus at home this year. What does that come down to for you?
Yeah, well, look, as far as chance creation, and I think that always ends up being the fundamental in winning games or offering yourself a chance to. We can look at, if we just take the cross-section of this week, very little created in New England, and you might expect that. I actually felt as though there were some nice opportunities, and we might have snatched the game in Toronto. If you remember, Hanny had I'm not sure as clear a cut a chance as Yonder's, but a very good chance but not lots of clear-cut chances, and that's the big difference. At home, we look free-flowing, we look relaxed. There's a real confidence about our play, but away from home, we've looked uncertain. Almost happy to allow teams to come and build some pressure, and most of that has come from not being able to get in behind or beyond, or secure the ball in good areas. So yeah, there's a big difference. I need to take a little look at that and go back over the game. But it's tough to evaluate and maybe compartmentalize, because there are so many good things at home. What I don't understand, and I'm sure lots of coaches have been in this position as well, why we would be less enthusiastic about a similar style of play or thought process.
We'll wrap it up with Tim Sullivan.
Gary, this was really a tale of two very different halves. What was it, besides maybe changing Alex for Jack? I don't think that was the whole reason that the game was so much more open in the second half and a few more chances for each team.
I mean, you have to expect third game in a week. Teams there's going to be fatigue, no matter how much rotation. This environment itself, although the sun's not beating down, it's very, very humid and exactly what you would expect in a lot of cities in the summer in the US. I think from a very personal standpoint, the group certainly looked like the travel had taken its toll. Whether they were playing or just on the flight, it looked like the combination of travel and the humidity probably took the sharpness and sparkle out of their play. And in the end, nobody likes getting beat. No one. And it's been a long while since we have, which makes it all the more painful. But that's part and parcel of any season. And, somehow we have to get back, break down the game, look at some of the things that were worthwhile and a lot of things that probably weren't, and get ourselves, shaken off and ready for 2 home games now that become very, very important.
Go ahead, Tim.
Easy one, CJ. Talk me through the goal. What did you see as Hani put the ball in the air, and how did you manage to get it on frame and get it in the net?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have had a focus on set pieces, both offensive and defensive, just being a little bit more turned on. And I think for me, I felt last game I should have taken an opportunity off of a corner kick, and so I had a little bit extra focus. And Hani's just been playing great balls in that area, and at that point, it's just connecting and keeping it on frame.
Do we have any more questions for CJ? Go ahead, Drake.
Yeah, CJ, obviously the work rate is not really questioned here, but of course, when you see a late goal like that, from your vantage point, how does that, I guess, affect you guys as a group, especially after a long home stint, or excuse me, a road stint?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because when you think about it, we're actually not that used to losing, so it might be easy to point fingers and feel like it was a letdown. And, ultimately we know we weren't good enough, and maybe we've been bailed out previous times in the season, but ultimately I believe these are the type of games and roadblocks that you kind of need to build the character that it takes to be successful in this league. I personally, it was very hot out there, humid, it's a different type of grass. Like, yeah, we're meant to perform, game in, game out, but hey, 3 games in a week, it's not the same as, playing at home and having those fans, giving you that spark. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's hard to swallow, but ultimately I think we'll be better for it.
We'll go with Tim Sullivan, then Ben Wright. Go ahead, Tim.
CJ, you and Hani hadn't hooked up through the first several games of the year for a goal. Today was the fourth time in the past 3 weeks. What has that chemistry been like building with you and Hani and Randall too, as you guys have formed that front three in recent weeks?
Yeah, I was gonna say Randall is a pretty pivotal piece there because Randall really opens up the game, and with the opposing defenders knowing that they have to worry about him as well, it gives me and Hani a little bit more freedom to get forward and take risks. And just from playing with each other, we've been able to build some chemistry there. And obviously for me, anytime he has the ball, I feel like I have a chance, and I just need to get in the right spot. And I know he feels the same way when I get the ball. So it's just about staying confident and continuing to try and replicate those moments that we've had success in.
We'll go with Ben Wright.
Yes, CJ, what do you make in the difference between results at home versus on the road, and how do you think that changes?
I mean, it's probably typical things that you guys can think of. Not sleeping in your own bed. You're obviously traveling. There's a lot of different things that are not part of the normal routine. And, hey, we did have a lot of home games in the beginning of the season. So we never quite found that maybe it's routine or flow rhythm on the road. And it's a uphill battle for us. But like I said earlier, these are the type of things that you do need to build character, to truly push for, success in this league.